Hi, my name is Kendra Jones. I attend North Carolina Agricultural Technical State University. I'm an undergrad. I graduate this year, December 12th. And I am here with...
My name is Yolanda Rankin. I recently finished my PhD at Northwestern University in Computer Science. And I am now at IBM Almaden Research Center in San Jose, California.
Okay. Why did you choose IBM?
Why did I choose IBM? Actually, at the time that I went on the academic market, which is usually a year before you finish, I was actually leaning very strongly towards academia. And IBM was my first interview in a list of interviews. And it just what happened. I was thinking of it as a good place to practice my presentation skills and putting together my talk. I went there, and I basically was just blown away by the caliber of people, the interesting research that they do. And so I don't know how much you know about industry, but industry, if you have opportunity to do research, is more about thinking ahead, things that will eventually become solutions to problems that will impact the world today. And so I like doing things that don't have an answer and trying to solve problems that improve the quality of life for people. That's been my motivating factor for my work always. And so when I went there, I was talking about my thesis work, which happens to be on games. So I had the opportunity to play games for research and to do that as a PhD thesis. But I use games to help with second language learning, specifically ESL students, English second language students. And so by working with EverQuest 2, a popular, massively multiplayer game, I was able to show that we could actually get games to help people improve their English vocabulary. So it worked out pretty nicely. And IBM was interested in that, not because they're a gaming company, but because they're looking at virtual worlds as the new platform for some of the innovative services that will be coming down the road. And so I thought, wow, I can take the things I like doing, that I'm interested in doing, and industry finds value in that. And I can have a voice and have an impact on the things that will be coming out the door from IBM in the next 2 to 5 years. And so right now I'm working on Virtual Worlds, the platform for services, specifically self-service technologies. So think of these things as like when you go to the airport and you simply basically check in. That's a self-service technology. I'm looking at more innovative ways in which we can develop those kinds of self-service technologies. And so I take my background in games, things that we know work well for games, like collaboration. That's a component of massive multiplayer games. You have this idea that you have a presence because you have an avatar, and that heightens the level of engagement. Those kinds of factors, and implement them into the product development that we do for self-service technologies.
And how long you been with IBM?
Only 9 months.
Okay. So where do you see the computer and computation heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think the biggest issue that we have across the world right now is the energy, right? So everybody's talking about sustainability products and how we can come up with creative ways to better manage the resources that we have. I mean, that's going to be a key issue. So one of the things that we're doing at IBM, this whole Smarter Planet theme, I don't know how much you know about that, but we're looking at things like cars. And so we have this initiative on battery operated cars. That's one thing. We're doing this simulation of the brain. So we have we're actually using game-based platforms, once again, to understand how the brain works and to build a brain and then to get that to work. We're looking at virtual worlds as a platform for intelligence, intelligence community, information, terrorist attacks, things of that nature. We're looking at electricity, smart grid computing, smart devices to help you actually manage how you use your appliances in your home and of course across cities and countries and things of that nature. We're doing water desalination plants over in Africa. I mean, we're doing some of everything. So those are the kinds of problems which are real problems today that we're looking for solutions today. We're working on it now so that in 2 or 3 years you'll have a better way of living.
Okay. Thinking back, like at middle school and high school, you think you would be doing this? What you're doing?
So when I was in middle school, at that time I actually wanted to be a doctor. So my father's a doctor and I thought that I would be a doctor. So I already had a cultivated interest in science, and I happened to discover a love for math. And it was my interest in math and my love for math that actually motivated me. So my undergraduate degree is actually in mathematics, and I discovered computer science along the way. Taking courses at Tapia College, which is a historical black college university, we didn't have a computer science major, we had it as a minor. But my professors thought that I was really a good student, and they encouraged me to go to grad school. That's when I switched to computer science. And so because of my mathematical foundation, it wasn't a big jump for me to do that. In fact, it sort of made it a lot easier versus if I had been maybe in some other kind of field, like maybe chemistry. But yeah, so that's that, and I discovered that from just paying attention to what was around me, that computers were going to be the future. And I liked the idea of writing code that actually did something. That was, I thought, the coolest accomplishment. So that was the coolest.
Do you have a role model?
I have several role models. I think my parents are my immediate role models. My father, my grandmother sharecropped the land, and so my father saw that and didn't want to be in a situation where his life and trying to take care of his family depended on someone else. And that's really what motivated him to be a doctor. So I think he's the only one in his family that's actually gone to college and went on to professional school that actually is a doctor. For me, college was never, it was, yeah, you're going. Yeah. And the only issue was what kind of major, and I already knew it would be in the sciences I was going to be. Now the funny thing was back in the day, so I went back, this is back in the 80s, computers are not what they are today. So how we all walk around with our phones and text and PDAs and all that kind of stuff. So my dad, when I told him to be a computer scientist and not a doctor, he was like, computers? Really? You're going to be okay? Now it's like, oh, she's fine. Yes. Basically, it's a very fluid field. It's not going anywhere. It's only changing. The part about human interaction is really important these days. We're trying to think of new ways to leverage this technology. And so my motivation has been my parents. And then my mother, because whatever I've ever wanted to do, she's always been like, yeah, that sounds, she's never been one of those parents that was, oh, you're going so far from home, or it was always, that sounds great, you should go for it. So having that kind of support has just meant the world to me in terms of the decisions I've made and where I am in life today.
All right. Well, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Kendra.
Thank you.